And away we go. Welcome to another episode of Gettin Salty Experience, the only podcast that brings the Firehouse Kitchen Table to you. Not only do we bring it to you, we bring you the heavy hitters. And we got a heavy hitter tonight, bro. So, as always, I have my boy Louie.
What up, boys?
Producer Pete sitting over there.
The presence of greatness.
What
Shalom.
do you got?
Shalom. I'm here in the presence of greatness tonight. Look where I'm at.
You are, bro. You are in the presence of greatness. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by Pete. GettinSaltyApparel.com if you want to find all your clothing apparel and all your glassware and everything else, all the good stuff that we're going to send Bobby on the arm. You know what I'm saying? On the arm.
He's got a broken shirt. He's got a broken shirt already.
He does? Oh, we'll send him some more stuff, bro. And with further ado, we want to introduce the OG. We're going to call him the OG of Rescue 2, Mr. Bob Galione. Woo!
Good evening, gentlemen.
There he goes, Bobby Galione, Rescue 2. 20 years in Rescue 2, Bob?
No, the plan was 20, but injuries get in the way, and 18 worked out.
Yeah.
30 years on, though. I had
30 years. Yeah. 30 years. So you started out in engine 232, the Tin House, July of 79.
July 14th, 1979.
1979. Spent a little time in 232. We'll talk about how you went to the truck. Went over to ladder 176.
Correct.
And then for a short time, I don't know what happened. You thought yourself you might want to go up to Harlem, scary Harlem, the 26 truck, right? That only lasted
short period of time, 9 months.
What happened? What was that whole trend of thought there? Like you wanted to go up to the Brock? You thought,
first thing, never make a career decision when you're pissed off.
Okay.
So don't do that.
That's good advice.
Good advice.
But, I just, let's try the bigger buildings, Harlem. Let's go check this out. Went up there, and like the baseball stadiums, there are different ground rules in different places.
Yeah.
and I already had done 5-6 years with the ground rules from the 4-4 battalion.
Right.
And it might be a little different in the 25th battalion.
I see.
So, it just I was the round peg in the square hole.
We got a picture. We got a picture of him from 26.
I do, but you know what else we have though that we haven't announced yet.
Oh man, we skipped over the word of the day. I'm sorry. How could I do that? I'm a miss.
Before we get too deep, guys,
the word of the day is big balls.
Big balls.
Big balls. I'm going right to the bottle on big balls, bro. Oh, wait a minute.
Shalom. I'm not messing around tonight. In honor of Mr. Galione, sir.
The OG. He's the OG of Rescue 2. So, Bob, how long were you actually in 26 where you're like, oh shit, I think I might have made a mistake here?
I don't think he did. I don't think he did though. Look at his face here in this picture. He looks so
That's a picture of happiness right there, bro.
That says it all.
So Jack Corcoran was my lieutenant. He was a captain of Rescue 4 when he was lieutenant in 26 truck. So I had about 3 months in at the company. And I went up to talk to him and expressed an interest in going back to where I came from. Mm-hmm. He kind of agreed that was probably a good idea.
Really?
So I thought I was actually going to sneak back. I called up the transfer desk and asked how many papers were in for 176. And at that time, points had a lot to do with it. I had the most amount of points. So I was going to slip in a transfer paper and just show up like nothing happened,
Like maybe you're on vacation or medical
leave. Yeah, I got medical leave. But, I was still friendly with a bunch of the guys, and I had mentioned to somebody that I was, really interested in coming back. And the next thing I got a message, not directly from the captain of 176, but from a messenger that
a little birdie.
A little birdie came and sang in my ear that maybe I should come for an interview.
Really?
Oh,
So,
really?
So from the front door of the tin house to the truck office isn't more than 15 feet. Took me about 45 minutes.
Just explain it to the guys.
Just to walk from the front door to his office. I knew he was in there. I sat at the house, watched for a while. I figured the beatings were going to commence immediately, but Captain Adamo actually was very gracious, and we'll leave it at that.
Really? So when you came back, even when you left, how was it leaving? What kind of grief did the guys give you? And when you came back, were they?
Coming back was as I should have. I got my balls busted.
Right.
But I was granted retroactive seniority within a matter of a couple of months. I took my beating. I knew I'd fucked up. And I acted accordingly, and things worked out.
So you did, like they say, you did the right thing, and it came back to you.
Right. I made a mistake, and I admitted to it. They were good guys. The guys I met up in 26 that I worked with, they were all good guys. It's just, it was different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you talk to anybody who went from Brooklyn, from the 15th Division, who went up to Harlem, things are just different.
Yeah, any of those guys are different. Was Haid up there at that time, Bob?
No, he was gone already.
It's amazing how one job can be so different in every borough. If
you guys remember when everybody had to come back in for chauffeur retraining? It was like a lot of accidents, and every chauffeur had to come back in. So at the time, I was a seated chauffeur in Rescue 2, and I was with all 15th Division guys. But the two instructors were Bronx guys. And they were harassing us. You guys, you have to honor the ticket. You guys don't understand. You got to walk, no racing. They're going on and on. I looked around the group. I was the senior guy in the room from the 15th Division, probably driving the longest. So I raised my hand. And I was like, I don't think the brothers will mind me speaking for everybody. But what you have to understand, to us, when the computer goes off, all that meant was, gentlemen, start your engines. The one instructor got so pissed off, he left the room. He didn't come back for the rest of the day.
Really? Yeah. So I asked you about 210 before, Bobby, because that's where I went out of probie school. And even there, if you didn't run as a probie sprint to the rig, they busted your balls forever, man. You had to sprint to the rig.
When I was in the tin house, there was never a question who had to close the door, because 232 was gone.
Right.
The engine goes first, right? Obviously.
They were gone. There was no choice. We had to close the door. When we moved up the block with 233, it was a little learning curve, because if you're sitting there and you're still getting on your rig, we're leaving.
Right.
So that worked itself out too.
Tell us a little bit about the tin house situation. Like, I've heard some stories over the years, obviously how they closed the place down, but you were already in the truck at that point, and you had told me, I think, that you guys were already out of there.
Yeah, we moved out in late June of '87. We moved up to the new firehouse. 232 remained. It was Super Bowl Sunday, January 31st, '88. They get a relocation to 207. They jumped on the rig. They would just sit down to eat dinner. They shoot over to 207, and the chief of department's waiting for them there and told them, gentlemen, you're done. Back your rig in, park it on the side. You're now out of service. A few minutes later.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, they just shut them down. It was a surprise attack.
Why do they do that? What is that? What was the purpose of that?
Well, when they shut down, I guess it was 212, the People's Firehouse.
Yeah.
Word got out. There was all sorts of protests. There was fighting. Koch said this was the smartest thing I ever did, because it was just done.
It was
no advance notice. Ripped the Band-Aid off. It was too late to protest, too late to fight.
Right. So then the guys, what did they do? Didn't they go?
Guys go? I mean, what happened? You guys just went home, or what? What you go to the?
Well, they actually had to wind up putting them in a van. They had to bring them back. We had changed the locks, so it wasn't a 1620 key to get in the firehouse, and they were waiting to get in the firehouse. So when the guys came back in the van, one of the brothers pulled the door open, slipped in, and pulled the door shut. They said Homer Bishop was doing somersaults on Rockaway Avenue. Open this door, open the door.
Bishop. Yeah.
They were hoping to find something in the firehouse to keep everybody quiet.
Right.
Things got cleaned up. It was Super Bowl Sunday. There might have been a coverage. Allegedly. So there was nothing to be found in the firehouse when they finally let them in. Word went out rather quickly. Everybody from 232 had a report to the Rock that Tuesday. And they were all given, choices. Where do you want to go? Off they went to the.
Wow. Were you in the truck at that time, though, Bob? You were.
Yeah, I was fine. I was already in the truck.
You were already in the truck. Wow.
Right.
And some of those guys came to the truck?
Yeah. Eddie Roll, Paulie Beta, Philly Parker. Yeah,
so they got a lot of guys going there.
Yeah, about 7 or 8 of them wound up coming up the block.
All guys with big balls, right?
Oh, Shalom, my salud. Nice.
Bob, what is that building today? What is that? I've seen pictures of it every once in a while. Is it EMS? It is.
An EMS station. EMS station, I think 4-4. Yeah. Yeah, they finally went in and fixed the place. They never fixed it for us. We had that place. It was unique. It was very unique.
How did you end up keeping the Tin House name? Like, even though 232 had the Tin House, was that after that you took the name?
Yeah, we went and got the sign the next day.
No shit.
Yeah, we went down the next day. We took down the sign, the street sign. It said Tin House Plaza. We grabbed that.
Nice.
The sign is still in the basement of the new firehouse.
Really?
Because there are still 2 or 3 guys left that worked in the Tin House that are working. And we discussed it as a group. The last guy out the door, he gets to keep the sign.
Wow. Is the guy still working there now that you work with when they switched it over?
Tommy McCarthy, he's a chief up in, I guess, Manhattan. There's a couple of guys that are still working.
Oh, shit, man, that's great.
That worked in the Tin House, and the deal is whoever the last guy out the door gets to keep the sign.
Nice. That's a great deal, man. So, Bob, you grew up in Marine Park and Bergen Beach. You have any family on the job, or what made you go?
No.
What made you decide to be a fireman?
I was not a nice guy. I grew up with some other guys who weren't nice guys. So it came down to silk suits or bunker gear. So my brother was taking the fire department test, and I guess him and my father discussed this. I was heading down the wrong path. So they put the application in for me, and the whole deal was when my brother took the physical, I would pace him because I used to run a lot. So it was a 10-part test. Last part of the test was you had to run the mile. And as long as my brother kept pace with me, he would have scored very well. And as it turned out, we both did very well on the test. I did a little better than him. Maybe if I didn't have that cigarette in my mouth when I walked in. I really thought the test was going to be, bullshit. And I was in for a shock. I walked out of there probably 10 pounds lighter than when I walked in the door.
Was that the one with the ledge walk and the pull up?
We had the ledge walk. We had
that was a tough test, man. That was a really tough test.
1 out of every 8 guys passed. That's what it averaged out to. Because you took the test in groups of 8.
Right.
And 7 out of 8 failed the test.
Wow.
But my brother, myself, we did the mile. He had a nice mark. I had a pretty good mark. And he winds up calling me up literally maybe 2 to 3 weeks before I got hired. telling me he wasn't going to take the job because he was going to go. He became a mechanic for the sanitation department.
No shit.
Well, he's 6 years older than me. He was already married.
Yeah.
And they started 10 grand a year more than the fire department did.
Right.
So, I mean, for him, it was a no-brainer. Plus, he didn't like heights. He couldn't go up a ladder. His life depended on it. So it worked out.
So you had two paths to take. Either you went to the FDNY, you did, some
Correct.
Of those.
It was either silk suits or leather jackets.
Friends of ours.
Friends of ours, you know what I mean?
Friend of mine, friend of ours.
Don't let me let Sally and Johnny help you find your checkbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it kind of worked out. But I still wasn't all in right away in the beginning,
Yeah.
But then once you went to a couple of fires and you're like, wow, this is a lot of fun.
How? He was saying that. Sorry, Kev. He was saying earlier before, 232 only had a few first due boxes, right? Which was
12 first due boxes.
That's freaking incredible, right?
First two boxes.
We were on Rockaway in Bergen. 227 was on Ralph in Bergen. 231 was even closer. If you went, straight through, they were over there on Watkins Street. What was that? 3 blocks?
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
No wonder you were sprinting to the rig. Yeah,
Right. You had to run, and of course, otherwise you were second due or third. Yeah. And everybody knows first due is better than second.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing with the truck. Tom Cleary was the chauffeur over in 120. Kenny Memon was the chauffeur in 176. And East New York Avenue kind of runs parallel with Pickin. And at each intersection, you're looking.
Yeah, you see where they are.
They're a little farther ahead. We're a little further ahead. And as you got close to the Howard Avenue, I'm telling you, as the roof of the OV, you started
getting a little nervous,
started bracing for contact.
Yeah.
I tell the story all the time, Bobby. When one of my first runs in 210, we're coming down Myrtle Avenue, 209, who's disbanded now. They're coming down Myrtle Avenue. I swear to God, I thought we were going to go head on. Whoever made it, and we turned in. We were in first due, it was second due. I thought we were going to have a face-to-face crash bar right there, and we turned in right in front of them. I'm like, holy shit, this is how it is, huh?
Yeah, like, serious.
Serious shit, man.
The engines, they just have it so tough, man. Over there, especially by 176 and all of those by 111, and they're just surrounded, like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. They're just on top of each other. It's
176 in 1980, 81, 82 was the busiest WRI truck company in the city. 120 was only 3 blocks away.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And still the amount of work was unbelievable. It wasn't a question if you were going to go to work. It was how many jobs were you going to get?
Yeah. So how long you? Yeah, Bob. Sorry.
No, just saying. It was never a question. We were going to a fire.
You learn fast, right? That way,
You could screw up at 7:00. And at 8:30, you fix that mistake.
Nowadays, it could take you months, years to make a mistake to redeem yourself.
Exactly. But you screwed up, early in the tour. You were going to get another shot at it, if not 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah. So how long are you in 176 before you decide to make the move to Rescue 2?
I had on. So I went to Rescue 2. In 90, so I had 11 years on. Actually, it was sooner than that. Gentleman by the name of Kenny Memon. Kenny Memon was one of the senior men in 176 in the tin house. And he called me up sometime around, I'd say it was 87, 88. We were already in the new firehouse. And he mentioned that they were opening up a new rescue. That they were going to open up a Rescue 6 in the Bronx. The bosses were going to be Vigiano, Kleehouse, Gary Howard, and Kenny Memon.
Holy shit.
So no fire experience.
No.
Right. None. And Kenny Memon was being given 3 picks. Each of the lieutenants was going to pick their 3 guys, their chauffeur, and the 2 guys next to him. And Vigiano was going to fill the rest of the company. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm definitely in on that. That'll work out. and whoever the powers to be were decided they just moved rescue. They were going to move 3 into the Bronx. They weren't going to open another rescue. But at that point, now I had the bug. And
Right.
Bobby LaRocca was already over in Rescue 2. Mike Penna, Larry Gray, there was Frank Johnson. These were all guys from 176 that were in Rescue 2 at the time. So I spoke with them. They told me I had to go see Downey. Came down, saw Downey. That interview went about 12 minutes. I couldn't have thought it went any worse than what had happened.
Really?
But I guess he was in a hurry. He had to go somewhere. But the one thing I do remember was he had a little application you filled out, and he took it and he dropped it in a folder that was about 3 inches thick.
Yeah, right.
There was another folder that was about 1/4 of an inch thick. And, I've never really been shy, so I asked, said, Cap, what's the difference between those 2 folders? And he was like, well, these guys are scuba divers. These guys aren't. You're not a scuba diver, so you're in this. You had to be a scuba diver to go at that time. So I was like, okay, I got you. 6 weeks later, I came back to Rescue 2 and handed him my scuba certificate.
Got the skinny folder.
So you went to the skinny folder.
Right. So, but I think all told, I maybe waited about 8 months
That's
from
not
the
long
time
at
of
all,
my
man.
interview. No, you run into guys. I mean, you guys know about Louis Valentino.
Yep.
I was with Bobby LaRocca one day, and we were in between night tours. I was still in 176. Rocky was in Rescue 2. So we went down to the beach. We hung out in Brighton Beach for the day before we went back for the night tour. And he started laughing. His lifeguard was walking over towards us. He goes, oh, I just met this guy the other day. This should be fun. And it was Louis. Louis was
Oh, shit.
he was like a big shot in the lifeguards also.
That's awesome.
So he comes walking over. Apparently, he had just gone for an interview with Downey. I had just gotten my phone call like a week before that I was the next guy coming.
Wow.
So I'm just sitting there, and Rocky introduces me, Louis, and he asks, oh, how'd your interview go? And Louis like, oh, I'm the next guy coming over to Rescue 2. And that's when I said, no, cuz.
Maybe you don't know. Maybe nobody told you. You've been away a while.
Sure you're not the next guy. and Louis, hey, whoa, he got all puffed up. The peacock feathers came out.
Yeah.
No, bro, I'm telling you, you're not the next. So he's like, well, who is? I said, that's me.
This guy.
Get a look at this font. You see this font right here? Get a look.
Right. So 3 years later, Louis finally showed up.
Is that right? Oh, my God.
He was a young guy, at the time.
I was gonna say, where was he working at that time?
147.
Oh, 140.
That's a good
Listen,
place.
3 years over there. What the heck is the difference? It's like, it's perfect.
Right. It was still, but he was a younger guy, But it was funny. Yeah, I'm the next guy coming over. Yeah.
You must have broke his balls about that for a long time, no?
For forever. When you find that weak spot, bro, you never let it go.
Oh, you never let it go, man. Yeah, that's a chink in the armor. So,
Yeah.
Bob, when you were at 176, how do you make the transition from, like the rescue? You got to keep them out. You got to block them out. Rescue's the enemy too.
Well, it's
I'm
pretty
going
funny, actually. When Rescue would show up, first off, in the 4-4 Battalion, they got 10-2'd. We never saw them.
Right.
The 4-4 would 10-2 them. Billy Ratchet was the aide. 4-4 to Brooklyn. Give me a third alarm. I got fire out 42 windows. Outside, everybody going to work. Oh, and 10-2 Rescue 2. So on those rare occasions where they would get in, we'd be working, and a gentleman who was in 176, rescue's here, drop your tools. And everybody would throw their tools on the floor.
Oh, shit. Really?
Everybody just throw their tools down. Everybody start laughing. Fast forward, I'm now in Rescue 2. We're at a job in the 4-4. The voice over the radio, rescue's here, drop your tools. And Richie Evans goes berserk. He's like, You know who that is? He's screaming at me. Who is that? Who is it? This has been going on for years. You know, and Richie, the big Lithuanian, was, who is that? I'm like, Rich, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to get in the middle of this.
I have no idea who's saying that. But the one thing we pulled up, I mean, I was brand new. So you're the can man. Downey was the boss. And I'm standing there. We're outside the building. And Kenny Graff, who was my lieutenant in 176, walks by and he goes, my, look at this. Look who's standing fast next to the captain. They go, hey, you know, obviously they both knew each other. He goes, so how are you getting him to stand there like that? Of course, I could never get him to stand there. Yeah, you got to do your penance a little bit before you can start running around.
Yeah. How was you mentioned Richie Evans? We had talked about that a little earlier too. Like who were some of the guys when you first got there that like you like latched onto that you felt were the go-to guys to learn the most from?
Well, you had Pete Bondi, was the senior guy in the company. Just watching him, you didn't have to ask Pete anything. Just watch him. Watch how he operated. Watch what he did. He was one of the best. Richie was a wealth of knowledge. He would go over the rig with you 5, 6, 8 times a day. That's what you wanted. Richie was unique. He'd be soaking wet, dirty, filthy. He wouldn't change. You know, we don't change. So actually, it was Danny Murphy. They come back from a job. He's freezing. You know, he's standing there, and somebody's like, "Well, why don't you go get changed?" And he's like, "Richie said we don't get changed."
Peer pressure.
Yeah. Well, Richie's not working.
He ain't even here, bro.
Right. Yeah. If I was you, I'd go get changed.
Shit,
You know?
man, that's freaking great. That's a funny
We go
story.
upstairs. Bobby LaRocca's in the shower. Yeah, no, we don't get changed here at all.
We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, Bobby. Like, what was the pressure like? You know, when you went there, all eyes had to be on you because you had to be that guy. Otherwise, you were going back, right? You had to prove yourself.
Correct.
Right. So, what was that like? Was that a lot of pressure? You know, knowing that they're watching you and knowing that you got to be up to the level of Rescue 2.
You have to understand. Further, you just don't come from a truck and walk into Rescue 2 and be able to operate, at full strength. It took almost 2 years before I was extremely comfortable in the back of the rig with any position, with any tool. You really needed to, every day you had to go through the compartments, you had to go through the tools, you had to ask your questions. We went out, we drilled constantly. Ropes, Hearst tool. Actually, we didn't have too much of the ropes that you have today. We had a rogless system. Everything was in one box. It was all pre-rigged, and if you needed it, you took it out, you hooked it up, and off you went. It wasn't like today. Actually, the day we got our first special tool, they sent us a battery-powered drill, and the 5 of us stood around the workbench staring at this thing like, oh my God, look at this thing.
It's like the wheel.
But you had to master all those tools.
Yeah.
Artie Connolly wouldn't trust you, wouldn't talk to you, wouldn't even say your name until you proved yourself to him. We were on the rig one night, coming back from something. Tony Accardo was the brand new guy. And the little phone in the back of the rig rings. Tony picks it up. Yeah, hold on, Lou. And he hands the phone to me. I go, yeah, Lou, what's up? And Artie's like, tell the new guy we're doing a scuba drill.
They wouldn't even talk to him.
They wouldn't even talk to him. Tell the new guy, get dressed. He's got 8 minutes. It's just the way it was.
But did you ever feel like, on your way to work, you're like, I got a lot of pressure. If we go to a job, they're all watching me. I got to make sure I'm at my best. Like,
I guess I was confident enough with my fire duty. Where I was concerned was with the tools. But before I went to Rescue 2, Vigiano made sure I had a pretty good base on all of those tools.
Yeah.
When Vigiano came to 176 as the boss, what he wound up doing was doing mutuals in all of the groups to hit up with all the guys. And the night, 2 a.m, sitting in the kitchen, Vig comes walking in and, "So, young man, what's your story?" And I was a little bit of a smart ass. So I said, "Well, I'm actually out of here, Cap." He's like, "Excuse me?" Like, "Yeah, I'm going. I'm leaving." And where is it that you think you're going? I said, "Actually, I'm going right to where you just came from." So he started laughing. He goes, "Oh, Downey already called you and everything." I said, "Yeah, it's all in the works." So he's like, "Okay, now we just have to make sure that you
know how we're doing,
right?" Because before Vic showed up, we had nothing. We had a map gas torch. That was it, and firefighting tools.
Right.
Adamo requested everything. He never got it. Joe Williams asked for this stuff, never got it. Vigiano shows up, and every day the tool van pulled up. Hearst tool, airbag.
He had the hooks. He had the hooks.
He had the name, he had the hooks.
Right. Whatever you can think of, I'm telling you, I'm positive we cut up a couple of people's cars. They came out in the morning.
I know. I did the same shit, right? Do that.
Clue what happened to their car because coming back 12 at night, pull over. We cut up a car and continue on our way.
Hey, Bobby, Jack Pritchard's in the room. He said to say hi to you.
There's another tough guy, him and Pete Bondi. Each of them will tell you the other guy was the toughest guy they ever worked with.
I'd love to get him on the show. We're going to try to get
Bob, actually, that's a question from one of the people in the chat. They said, "Okay, Bob, you worked with the toughest. Who was the toughest of them all that you worked with?"
Bondi. No question.
So I'm going to get it ready. So needless to say, Bondi had big balls.
Bondi had huge balls.
Pete was the one that you told me, when you go to the floor above, you were basically hanging on to, you were going to be in spots, that you might not have been yourself.
So one day we had this job on Rockaway Avenue. I guess it was right off Belmont. It was a true loft fire. So it was a furniture store on the first floor. We go up to the second floor. Jimmy Ellison was the officer. Dowdy had just left. Ellison was like the heir apparent. We're at this loft fire, and what was rolling out of that door, I'm like, "Oh man, this isn't looking so good."
So good.
And Pete goes in he goes. Now, I worked with Pete for 3 years before he retired. I only saw him put his face piece on once.
Yeah, really.
And it turned out it was at this fire. So we're in there, and it's hot, and it's rolling, and we're going deeper. We don't have a search rope. Pete, he go, "Yeah, I'm over here," and then he go, "Bob," I'm like, "I'm over here." We're keeping in touch with each other, and we're crawling around, allegedly using alternate breathing devices.
Allegedly.
So now I'm like, "Pete, I'm over here," and I hear Pete muffled. I'm like, "Pete, over here, Pete," and he answered again, muffled. I'm like, "Uh-oh." And I crawl over and I'm shining my light. He's got a face piece on. And I'm like, "We're going to die." I knew we shouldn't have been up here.
Pete had a face piece on.
He had a face piece on. I'm like,
"Oh, my God."
We go rolling out onto the stairwell, and Ellison's standing there. He's as white as a ghost because he thought at that moment he was going to have to come and get us.
Right.
He's like,
"Speaking of cheers," allegedly.
Allegedly. There he is on the left again.
So, Pete was Peter Lund, who, besides being a phenomenal fireman and having an unbelievable career, was also in the volleys. And someplace along the line, somebody gave him a hood. This is way before anybody even heard of hoods.
Right.
So now Pete thought he had just leveled the playing ground a little bit with Bondi.
Yeah,
and
right.
Roll call. So Pete's giggling to himself, and Bondi goes, "Hey, look what somebody just gave me." And it was like, oh my God. But he never wore it either. He actually, Pete Bondi used his hood as a filter. He would shove it in his mouth.
So he could breathe through it.
Right.
Yeah. Another sort of a cheetah.
Well, that was really helping it out.
Yeah.
You didn't get in trouble for that.
No, not at all.
But,
So let's get to the question I wanted to ask you, Bob. So when the squads came about, you used to call us your little
yellow friends.
Little yellow friends.
Now,
So
allegedly,
you might be a little too young, but there used to be a television program called The Green Hornet,
I know it.
and he used to call Cato his little yellow friend.
Right.
You guys all show up with your shiny gold front teeth.
Full of piss and vinegar.
Before we go a little further, we in the rescue used to say, whose fault is it? The monkeys with the gun or the person who gave the monkeys the gun? Because you guys ran around like a bunch of monkeys. You were all over the place. And then one day I was like, oh, all my little yellow friends. and it stuck.
It did stick. It was,
So now,
yeah.
So I get detailed to 270 one day. So I call up and I'm like, can I speak to the engine officer, please?
Oh, they love that right away.
Right. So that set them right off.
Right.
So Jimmy Earl was the boss. So I said, Jimmy, you're expecting a deal? Yes. Yeah, definitely. So I go, I walk in their kitchen and I go, there's all my little yellow friends. And I take one step, and I didn't know that there was a step down in that kitchen.
And you bust your ass.
It looked like I got shot. I hit the floor.
Oh my God.
I'm laying there. I'm thinking I broke my wrists. They're howling.
God.
All my little yellow friends are running around. Ah! I get up. I walk over to the bathroom, wash my face, clean my hands. I come back. They already have a chalk line.
Dude, even if you were hurting, you were getting up, right? I mean, no matter.
How to get up? How to get up?
Yeah.
No way. Well, who was it? Captain Morris from Rescue 1?
Yeah.
When he passed out in the train station.
Yes.
Remember that? Well, the last thing he saw was a guy from 18.
Yeah.
You don't think that played on his mind? Oh my God!
So did you ever change your opinion of the squads as they progressed, or you?
Okay, so listen. This is all was nothing personal.
Yeah.
It was business. You guys were taking our work.
Right.
So as far as I was concerned, they should have closed you immediately. I'm sorry, they should have never opened you up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a pin job comes in at the Interborough on Pennsylvania and
You gotta wait for something.
There. Like, why are we
252's
going?
in there, right? Exactly, right.
252's got the box.
Right.
Squad 1's got the box. Well, 1 was always there, but you were taking our work.
Right.
So nothing personal. It was business.
Strictly business.
the big balls on these guys. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me tell you, they thought they had big balls. They had to learn.
Yeah. What was the relationship like with Squad 1, though? That had to be a little different because I remember going to jobs in Brooklyn where you guys kind of got along all right.
Yeah, we always got. They were always there.
Right.
I mean, the Squad 1 was around. Downey was their captain.
Right.
When they reopened the squad, Downey was their captain. Then he was our captain. It was a small world then. You know what I mean? It was only
them.
There was 5 rescues in one squad.
Right.
So between details, overtime, everybody became pretty friendly. Then next thing you know, there's 5 more squads.
Right.
Now we had to go to school. We had to take classes. You guys screwed everything up.
Hazmat stuff. You're like, oh,
hazmat.
Oh my God.
Brutal.
Dude, you know who was brutal on me? I'll never forget it, bro. Was Pete Romeo. He was absolutely. I went to a class with him. He was just brutal on me, bro. He would just nonstop.
Well, Pete's a unique guy, and he's got he'll tell you exactly what he's thinking.
Oh yeah, and you know what? He gave me a little break when he found out I was from 210 because I think he came from 210
Pete
Romeo.
was an original 210 guy, yeah.
Right. So when I found, and then he gave me a little bit of a break, not much, a little bit of a break.
I mean, if we had to get detailed, the worst place to go, not that you guys were bad, but you were recording for hazmat.
Yeah. Of course.
So, that was the worst. And we go over there and, you're the detail, you're sitting there, and now it's like 8:30, and you realize you didn't see who are all these guys from hazmat. They weren't the ones who worked here last night.
Oh, shit.
The worst meal I ever had in my life was at hazmat.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, that was you probably would remember Pete Brennan paid with pennies.
Yeah, he did.
I happened to walk in the kitchen and two guys from hazmat are making imitation crab meat with mayo.
Oh, I remember that. They
on the rack.
Used to do that. Regan, was that Regan that used to do that?
I don't know.
I remember that.
But I'm like, what the hell? What is that? Like, oh, we're making lunch.
That.
Oh, okay.
Brennan tortured him.
288, we get a run. We go on the way back. I'm like, listen, can you do me a favor? Can you stop? And there was that deli right on Grand Avenue.
Ivoron.
So I got to go in. I got to go get a sandwich. And they're like, no, they're making lunch. I said, I know. I saw what they're making. I got to go get a sandwich. So everybody else was like, he knows something we don't know. They all came in and bought lunch also. So now we go back to quarters. And what was his name? He wound up in the Union. McArdle.
Oh, Philly Mac Daddy. Yeah.
He's like, I think there's been a miscommunication here. We made lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And here's your money for it.
Yeah.
But I'm not eating it.
I'll pay for it, but I ain't eating it.
Now, there was two guys riding with them from Washington, D.C. They're looking at my corned beef sandwich. So I actually looked at them. I'm like, listen, I'll give you half. And they're like, no, don't get us involved.
That's great.
That's when Hot Punk Pete comes out with the pennies.
Hot Punk Pete.
$5 worth of pennies on the table. So then I'm wrapping up my imitation crab meat, whatever it was. And Paul was like, I thought you weren't going to eat that. And I told him, listen, bro, if I don't bring this back as evidence, they're never going to believe it. And the only reason I'm wrapping this up, I got to show the guys when you tried to feed us.
Holy shit.
I'll tell you, Bob, when we first became the squad, there was a lot of older guys there in the mat,
Yeah.
And we again, they were kind of on the way out. Yeah, we tortured the hell out between Brennan, ILP, and Neary and myself. ILP would torture them, And
you work with Dennis Murphy, right? Were you there with him?
I actually went to Proby school with Dennis Murphy.
Dude, he used to, every meal, I swear to God, he would take it, sit down, pick it up, walk over to garbage, and scrape it into the garbage, put his money on the table, and walk into the office. Every meal.
Every meal, man.
Oh, Bobby's pouring. He must have had big balls. Hold on a minute.
Oh!
Little taste.
So there's a question here in the chat. It's from Rich Nooner. He's asking, Pete, ask Bob what his best moment at the rescue was and who the best captain he worked for in the rescue.
You put him on the spot now.
Okay, so, I mean, I worked with three captains, and each of them was different. To say who was the best, who wasn't the best, that's difficult. I worked with Ruvalo the longest, so I'm going to go with Phil. Plus, I was his chauffeur. I drove him for 10 years. Downey kind of, Freddie Gallagher created us, but Downey brought in all the special tools. It's a rough thing. I can't answer that.
What was your most let's see, what was your best moment in the rescue? That's what he was asking.
I did 2 years there. I would have to say, anytime we were able to get a fireman out of trouble, and that would have to be it. And believe it or not, that happened a lot. Wasn't always publicized. Word never really got out all the time, but we saved a lot of firemen's lives over my 18 years in the company. Unfortunately, a couple of times we didn't, but we always did the best we could.
Were you working for the fire with Louis Valentino?
No, I was on my way into work. So I actually just got into the firehouse. We used to have light duty security because the firehouse used to get broken into, and I had a scanner on. Go figure. I had a scanner. So driving in, I knew they were at a job down in Flatbush. I knew something had happened, and when you were on the Interborough, there was a couple of dead spots. When I popped out the back end, Rescue 2 was taken up and heading to Kings County. So I figured they were transporting somebody, which we have done. Never in a million years did I think it was one of us. When I got to the firehouse, the light duty security guy said, I don't know what's going on, but a couple of phone calls. They said they'll call back again when a regular guy shows up. Phone happened to ring again. It was Downey. What's going on, Cap? Because he was he was the chief then. Fishel was the captain. He goes, I need you to go upstairs for the notification box.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, all right, but who is it? He goes, well, I can't tell you. I'm like, Cap, you have to tell me because
I gotta get the
I gotta
card.
get the notification card. Yeah.
So, he mentioned who it was.
Holy shit.
So I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I said. Gave him the number. He actually says, are you friendly with his wife? I'm like, yeah, actually, she's probably home by now. Everybody knows everybody else. Their routines. Whose wife gets home, who's working, blah blah blah. I said, no, actually, she should be home. He goes, oh, hold on, the curtain just moved. I'll get back to you. And he hung up the phone.
Oh, so he was outside already, huh?
Yeah, he was already
Holy
outside.
shit.
He thought he might have had the wrong address, but he didn't. He had the right address. She just wasn't answering the door. You can't blame her,
Were you close with him?
Yeah, me and Louis were pretty good buddies. We, after the whole incident with I'm going to be the next guy, we actually got along very well. Both being Brooklyn guys, we got along very well.
How about Rock?
The cuz?
I can't believe some of the pictures I'm seeing of him.
He's such a nice, you talk
dude,
about
I can't even believe
I
it.
work with him. He's like the
that guy
nicest
has
guy.
been around so long.
He showed up at our doorstep in the tin house. I don't know, 84, 85, something like that. He was in Coney Island first. Him and Mike Healy were both from the same firehouse, and they came on the same order. And Rocky and myself, we got along very well. We hung out a lot together.
I still, every time I used to see him, I'll be like, I cannot believe this guy has been around for as long as he was, right? I mean, he's just he looked young, he was in Rescue 2 for a lot of years, right? I mean, he was there for a long, long time in the heyday, right?
So we were in the new firehouse. So that was 87. Rocky went, I guess, 88, maybe 89. And then when did he get promoted? 96?
Oh, was that early he got promoted?
Excuse me?
He got promoted in 96?
No, actually 98. 98 he got promoted. So he did 10 years there, but those were 10 busy years.
Yeah, every picture I see of the old school Rescue, he's in the picture. You know what I mean? I can't believe how long he's been there.
Well, we laughed about it before. Rocky had a knack for showing up when there was a camera.
Really? He doesn't seem like that.
And so did Lee.
Oh, there he is, right there, Rock.
So I mentioned this before. I mean, that kid weighed 60 pounds. How much help did I need?
Wait, he's holding his toe, though, Bobby. He needed to hold the toe.
Well, there's something that we always, there was something I learned early. If you came upon a person, always go for the feet. Or if there's two people, always go for the smallest one. You got to learn these things.
You got to. That's yeah, man.
Phil Rubelo made a grab one day. There's still reports of more people trapped. This woman was large. So he just about gets her to the doorway, and he trips over the sill, and he falls out into the hallway. She falls on top of him. He looks up at me. He says, "Bobby, help me." And I'm like, "You found her. Stepped over him, then I went in the apartment. You know?
What was the story with this? This is the same job. What was the story with this, Bob, with this kid?
So this kid, this was over by Kings County Hospital. It was a high rise. As we were pulling up, the chief was telling us the mother's saying that the kid's in the apartment. Like, okay, I had the roof. So we head over towards the elevator. Artie Connolly, Mike Penna, Rocky Stadpole, they get in the elevator. I got the roof. The elevator's full, so I'm like, go ahead. I'll
I'll walk up
the next one, or I'll walk. The door closes. The kid's mother, as it turns out, grabs me in the lobby, and she's telling me my son's in the back bedroom. He's definitely in the back bedroom. So now I had to make a choice. What am I going to do? And with that, the other elevator door opened. So I jump on the elevator, and I knew that the fire was all the way down at the end of the hallway. So I didn't really take a chance. I took the elevator right to the fire floor. And all I was going to do was stick my head in and tell the truck, listen, the mother
They're
said,
in the back bedroom, right?
in the back. And then I was going to go up to proceed up to the floor above, which is where I belonged as the roof man in the project. With that, actually one of the engine guys from 310 found the kid, but he obviously not used to making a search, finding anybody. I gave the 1045 for him, and then kind of like dragged him and the kid out in the hallway and started doing mouth to mouth. As I'm doing mouth to mouth, I, again, just looked over there, somebody to get a resuscitator, and it was Lieutenant Connolly, because the elevator that they were in must have stopped on a couple of floors.
Right.
I beat them up there. Now I'm looking over. I'm supposed to be on the floor above. Artie's standing there. I'm like, boss, I need a resuscitator. And I continued doing mouth to mouth. The kid came back.
Wow. That's great.
Nice.
So we got the kid down into the lobby, and that's when all my help showed up.
To help you carry a 60-pound kid out.
Right. So, that's what
the look on your face. The look on your face kind of says it all. Like, all right, boys, come on, give me a break.
I was a little tired, and see, Leo had his rescue makeup on. He always had a little makeup on.
I was going to say, how was it working with Lee?
Leo was a very unique guy, and he always wound up right where the action was. Uncanny, his ability to know where to be.
John was the same way. His son was the same way. Yeah, he really was. He was always in the thick of it, man. He would find a way to get in the thick of it.
Yeah, well, Leo was the same way. It was, again, you watch and you learned. You watched how they used the tools. You watched their attitude. You watched how they worked. And you tucked it away, and you used that yourself when you got a chance. The whole thing is always, presenting a very cool, calm demeanor, and these guys were the best at it. Like I said, you're thinking you're about to die, but you can't let anybody know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
You know yourself, you're about to make a transmission.
You take a second to calm down because you're up.
Take the cleansing breath.
That's it, no doubt.
Cleansing breath. I like that. Hey, Bobby, when you were Rescue 2, was there any kind of competitiveness with like the other rescues? Like, of course, you guys went to the most, fire, no doubt. But when you get detailed to other rescues, was there any kind of competitiveness or anything like that going on?
They might have had it. I never felt it.
No. Okay.
We were the busiest. Period. End of the story.
Right.
I don't think nobody was coming close to us.
Right.
Which is why we got so pissed off when we lost 2,000 boxes to another rescue.
Tell us about that, Bob.
You know what? It wasn't the first time it happened.
I think that's a little worse than the Little Yellow Friends, to be honest.
I thought that was worse than the Little Yellow Friends, bro.
Rescue 4 took boxes from us years before that.
Oh, that's right, in Greenpoint, right?
Right. Everybody was always taking our boxes, and we were still busier than all of them.
Right. So I'll set it up for you. Captain Ruvolo, who was Lieutenant Ruvolo at the time,
Lieutenant
right?
Ruvolo. Yeah.
In Rescue 5,
right.
Make the play for boxes in Brooklyn, from
Correct.
Staten Island, right?
Right.
So he gets what?
Curry.
He gets 2,000 boxes from Rescue 2.
Correct.
And then, as it happens, he becomes captain of Rescue 2.
Well, before that happened, we got 1,000 of them back. We didn't just lay down and take it.
Right.
So we wound up we wound up with 1,000 of those back, but they still had Coney Island, they still had Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, and again, just like with the squads, nothing personal, it was business. We took my fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's what I'm coming here for.
Now, did we get many fires down that way? No, but it was 30 to 40 fires a year.
Sure. It's enough.
So yeah. But some of the guys over there, they were pretty funny. Like, if I work overtime and get detailed over there, they break my balls, I break balls back. Usually, I might be a little better at it than some. So,
Possibly, allegedly.
So there were certain guys there that were always the target, and I would pull up in their parking lot. They'd be on the apron waving me in. Like he's in the kitchen. Because they wanted to laugh too, Yeah.
So what was it like when? What was it? He was fighting for the boxes. He was like a big proponent of getting those boxes as a lieutenant for Rescue 5, or?
You'd have to get him on to find out what his motivation was. But he did a vacation spot at Rescue 2. And while he was there, he had full access to all the records upstairs.
Oh.
So he probably had one of those little cameras.
Back then, before that phones.
Yeah. And he brought all of that
James Bond camera.
Back to Ferry. And and at the time, we wound up with a new commissioner, Safer. And somehow or another, they invited Safer to dinner.
Oh, Uncle Howie.
There we go. They presented their case.
They know how to do it.
And so apparently at one of these staff meetings they have, Safer's like, well, why doesn't Rescue 5 go to that side of Brooklyn? And the other chiefs there were like, well, from the way the story was told to us, well, God wouldn't like that. And he's like, well, who's God?
Who's God, right?
Right. And he goes, well, I'm actually now God. So, and next thing you know, we were missing 2,000 boxes.
Holy Christ.
So when he comes over as the captain of Rescue 2, I'm sure he had to work his way into your good graces.
So remember that story I told you about Artie Connolly calling on the phone and Tony answering it? Oh, the phone in the back rings, and it's Richie Evans saying, can one of you ask Ruvalo where he wants to go for lunch?
He would talk to him.
They were only 3 feet apart, up in the front. So
that's fucking awesome.
and I might have not been so friendly myself either.
Really?
Yeah, hey, nothing personal. It was business.
Yeah.
He was instrumental. But, he was able to prove that he deserved the spot. He earned the respect that he got. I mean, he didn't have to keep me as his chauffeur. Right. When he walked in the door, I was already, the captain's chauffeur. I fully expected to get shipped off to the back of the rig, but he didn't do that. He did what he needed to do to prove that he earned that spot.
So now, instead of the new guy, like the firefighter coming in, and everybody's watching him, it was now everybody's watching the captain to prove himself that he belongs here. Wow, what a turn of events, huh?
And that was 25 sets of eyes watching everything.
Yeah, everything. Right? Getting into jobs, right? I mean, what's the most important thing as a boss, right? You show up, you got to get in the job, right? So no matter if there's a job going on and the chief's like, hold on a second, and there's stuff that needs to be done, real stuff. You know the difference, right? So if he's holding you back, it's up to the boss to make, to wiggle that.
We actually were pretty good at that when we got held up, not really getting held up. The officer would always take the hit. He would have to stand there, and when the chief asked, where's all your guys? He'd have to count 2 guys 6 times. Because everybody else was gone, you know.
Yeah. Here's Bobby, here's Bobby, here's Bobby, here's Bobby.
And maybe some of our radio communications weren't the same as everybody else's, you know.
Yeah.
You might not, well, you 1 to 2.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I like it.
Yeah, you know, 1 being the officer, 2 being the chauffeur, then working the way down. Or Pete Martin and Lee Ielpi had a unique way of communicating with each other. They just recognized each other's voice.
Really?
Yeah. You work with somebody long enough, you know what they sound like.
Right.
I agree with you.
So how long did you work with Ruvolo total?
10 years.
How long did it take before you guys built that type of relationship?
A couple of months. Like I
Really?
said, actually, we had a pretty good Queen Anne fire. And I think I was probably working overtime that day because I wound up in the attic. I thought I was by myself, you know, crawling around, giggling, you know, having a little fun. And I bump into somebody. I'm like, who the hell, you know, and I shine the light. And I'm like, oh, we got to
Look
play
who it is. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to keep our eye on him.
Yeah, the little checkpoint right there, right? He gets a little check in the box.
So about maybe a week after that, we're at a store fire. So I'm right behind the first line. We're in there, and he's calling me, you know, rescue the chauffeur. I need you in exposure 4. Rescue the chauffeur. I'm like, what the fuck does he want from me? You know, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And, you know, he's still fairly new. So I leave the line. You know, I go in and I'm like, yeah, what's up, boss? What do you need? Because I need you to put a hole in the ceiling. Like, what? I need you to put a hole in the ceiling. Like, oh my God. I climb up on the counter, you know, I take the hook, I hit it, it's tin. You know, bang. I'm like, that's tin. And I got down off the counter and I left and I went back in the other. I don't do tin.
Yeah. You didn't do that anymore.
So now after the job, he comes back to the rig and he's like, is there something I should know? Like, well, A, as a chauffeur, I'm behind the first line. B, if you want me to stay as your chauffeur, you wouldn't have me pulling tin. The arm's going to fall out of the socket. And,
oh, shit.
I'll never ask you to do that again. Okay, Cap, here we go.
There you go. So you're good right there.
The brutal
set him
honesty
straight.
That's it. Exactly right.
All right, so you had a Tommy Donnelly story.
So Tommy grew up out in Deer Park. And we used to giggle that Tommy Donnelly was Vigiano's paper boy. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So Tommy Donnelly's the brand new Proby in 176. We pull up to a pin job. I worm my way into the car, and he's actually growling at me in the car. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, I'm like, listen, young man.
Young fella.
I actually know who you are, and I know where you're actually eventually going to wind up.
Oh, shit.
And on that day, I'm going to be working. Don't you ever growl at me again. And sure enough, whatever it was, 5-6 years later, who shows up on our doorstep but Tommy Donnelly.
He was a chauffeur there, right? In Rescue 2?
No.
He wasn't?
No.
Did you break his balls when he got there?
Drove there? Did he ever drive there? He drove there.
Tommy might have drove a couple of times, but he wasn't a seated chauffeur.
All right. Because I have a story with Tommy where I was working in Rescue 2, fireman, and I guess when the rig pulls out, I was the guy who had it. Was that a normal thing, Bob, that the detail would hit the door?
Roofman.
Roofman. Okay, so that's what I had, the roof, obviously. So I hit the rig pulls out, and I hit the button, and I start going, and the rig never stopped.
No.
So now I'm running full speed. I mean, I'm running full speed. I am running full bore for the rig, and I'm like reaching like this, and I have in my mind, this is it. If I don't get it right here, I'm not speeding up, right? And the guys are all, they're all inside already. So I reach out. Yeah. Oh God. I grab the thing,
laughing at him.
I pull it. I just get it, and I pull it, and I get it to the rig, right? And I could see all the guys chuckling. So he's like, the next one he might slow down a little bit for you, but at least you made that one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, we did not stop the rig.
I knew he wasn't stopping. He was not stopping.
No, I didn't even just pulling out of quarters for the guy. You had to run. You had to try it.
And I can't imagine. Like, I didn't. It wasn't like I hesitated. And I was like, I hit the button, and I didn't even notice that the door came down or not. It was already coming down, and I was already moving, and that's how fast he was going. You know.
Yeah. Well, he might have given you a little shot.
Tap.
So, Bobby, Ruffy says you got a Coop story. What do you got?
I think you might know this story.
I don't know.
You remember being at a union meeting?
Yeah.
And somebody telling you maybe you shouldn't be talking anymore?
I shouldn't be talking anymore. Yeah, I know that story. Well, what story do you have?
That's the story he's talking about. I'm out in the lobby.
Yeah.
You know, at a packed union meeting.
Yeah.
The 12% deal was going on.
Yeah.
And there's actually a gentleman, Sean O'Sullivan, who was 227 guy, 176 guy. No fan of the rescues. Certainly no fan of the squads.
Right.
Actually comes out and he goes, bro, if I was you, I'd get inside and have that guy sit down. What are you talking about? Was I think you better get inside. And you were going through your spiel up at the mic. And I remember walking up in front of you and going like this, shut up. Shut up and sit down. And you kind of like looked at me. And I guess the light bulb might have went off.
Can I give you the real story now? Can I give you the whole story?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Al Benjamin is the SOC. I guess he's in charge of
the battalion delegate, right?
Right, the battalion delegate. So he says we're not going to say anything, but
Correct.
he don't tell me we're not going to say anything. He never gets that message to me. He doesn't say we're not going to tell him to say anything. So it comes up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm stewing at guys who are motherfucking SOC.
Right.
Guys who motherfuck SOC, and then I see them working light duty or overtime or long-term light duty in SOC. So I just get up and I say this something simple. I go, listen, we didn't ask for the 12%. You know, we came here before the 12%. But if guys don't want to be an officer, if guys want to progress in this job, it's an avenue for guys to progress. That's it.
It didn't matter.
It didn't matter what I exactly
heard about that in East New York. I
matter.
called him. I'm like, are you trying to explain something to Neanderthal?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe a
me?
couple of weeks after that was the union seminar in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So I'm down at the union seminar, and Rescue 4's delegate was, I can't remember his name. He was a new delegate in 4.
Oh, John Kane?
No, John. So
no, John Kane.
so those guys from the 16th Battalion up in Manhattan, Harlem, have him pushed up against the bar. His back is bent over the bar, and they're just, they're giving him the business.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? That's not right. So I walk over and I'm like, guys, don't talk to him. Talk to me. I'm the most senior guy of the delegates in SOC.
Right.
Let's have a conversation. And he goes, well, this is wrong. The guy from whatever the engineer with 30 truck was. So he said, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, listen, bro, I agree with you. I'm voting no myself. I don't think this is a good move. He goes, that's what I'm talking about. I said, you're right. I don't think you deserve the 8%.
He was like,
wait, what?
He almost had a stroke. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But then everybody started laughing. So now there was nothing he could do. He had to laugh too. Like, no, as far as I'm concerned, you don't deserve the 4 and 4. So I'm voting.
No, when you hit him with that, you don't even know what to say. He's like,
So now he goes, let me buy you a drink. I'm like, all right, give me Crown Royal on the rocks, $14. I'm like, you expect me to drink something cheap? Come on, I get paid more than you. and we just kept it up the whole night. You know,
Oh, my
so it all worked out. It broke the tension because it was ugly. You know,
It was.
Good time, man. That was a
You
good
know, the
time.
thing is, we never asked for that 12%, man. We didn't want no part of it.
You were never going to win any sort of
Nah.
conversation.
No, there's no way.
Nope.
I actually had gotten a phone call from Steve Cassidy. He had just walked out of the bargaining meeting.
Right.
Calls me up and says, "Listen, we just settled the contract. It's 4-4. You guys are getting 12%. I need you to go back, call Al, because I knew Steve. Call Al Benjamin. It's not your fight. Don't say a word.
Right.
Tell everybody not to say a word."
Yeah, but he didn't tell me.
Well, that was Al's fault. But you know, the whole thing was, oh, yeah, great. So 4-4, and we got 4 more percent. And he's like, no, 4-4, and you're
12.
getting the 12.
Right.
Like, good luck, Steve. I honest to God, never in a million years thought that was going to happen.
Yep.
But you know, hey, it did. And unfortunately, they haven't shared the wealth yet with the support trucks.
Right.
You know, that should be done. Those guys they're taking the same classes. They're doing the same nonsense. You know, their morning check in the drill is not the same half hour it used to be, and then a cup of coffee. You know, and now this is a lot involved, as you all know.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, I wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously, when we first started this thing a few months ago, your name had popped up, and one of the things that I had cut a little snippet out on the still riding was the balls and heart. Obviously, everybody knows about that. You know, everything else we could teach you. How was it like? First off, with that whole the still riding thing, what was that? I just did a little research on it. That was a 2-year. That was Downey's nephew. Is that right?
So Tom Downey, Ray Downey's nephew, shows up. We were told ahead of time we will give him access. So, you know, and we did. And him and his cameraman, Jefferson, were with us for a couple of years. Not every day. They would show up, you know, 3-4 days at a time, not see them for a few days, show up again. So all along, he said he was, you know, making his documentary. So we did give him access. A lot of stuff was supposed to be off the record.
Right.
A lot of the footage had to be screened.
Right.
Or else we would have been fired. You know, there was a lot went into that. Towards the end, as he was wrapping up, that other show, The Bravest, those guys showed up.
Right, I remember that too, watching that. Yeah.
And of all of the film crews, and believe me when I tell you, we had film crews 2-3 times a year. We had film crews riding with us. These are the only guys who showed up, moved in, and stayed for a week straight. Everybody else, you know, they would do 4 to midnight. You know, they didn't want to pay the cameraman, whatever. I don't know what was going on, but these were the only guys who actually, they showed up, they stayed the whole 7 days. They bought every meal. They paid for every meal. And what was funny, Tom, the one thing Tom wanted was a hefty hauler run. He really wanted that in his footage. You know, 1,000-pounder, us dragging him out. You know,
what the hell are you talking about?
You know,
Bad guy blanket.
Yeah, I got you.
well, there was another name for it, but I'm trying not to get you guys in trouble.
Yeah, it's all right. I got
I'm
you.
being politically correct. So you don't know, you know. So, you know, some people might have called it a fat man run. I don't know. You know. So that's Tom wanted that in the worst possible way. So we had to tell him, listen, Tom, for the next week you can't be here because this other film crew is going to be here. Okay, he was sulking like a little girl, you know.
They got the fat guy run.
Don't you know the first run?
I knew you were going to say that.
It was the first run.
Oh my
First
God.
run, you got a fat guy
First
run.
run, 1,000-pounder on the
1,000-pounder.
1,000-pounder. Danny Libretti was brand new in the company. So remember before I told you, always go for the legs.
Yeah. Right.
Especially on the 1,000-pounders. They don't have good smell.
If there's 2 people, go for the smallest one. Remember this.
Write them down.
Libretti's the brand new guy in the company. We get up there, and we had the cargo net that we found out at the Navy Yard. We get the guy in the cargo net. We get him down the hallway. We get him into the elevator. Libretti has the head, and he's pulling him into the elevator. And as he's pulling him in, Billy Lake and myself, we're looking at each other, and we're starting to giggle because, you can always find something funny in a bad situation. We know that this elevator door is about to close. We know Danny Libretti's stuck in that elevator. We know this guy probably hasn't taken a bath.
It's got a little funk. They're a little funky.
Right.
A little
And
cheesy.
as the doors close and we're looking through the window, and you can see Danny starting to gag. We run all the way. We run down the stairs because now we want to see him when he gets down to the. And he was purple. He wasn't green. He was purple.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! The stench in that elevator must have been horrible.
It was bad. It was.
Most people, when they get that big, they're just bad.
Right. So now, a week later, they're gone. Tom Downey, comes in the quarters. Oh, how did it go? Like, well,
dude,
I hate to tell you this, but the very first run, and he's like, "You're lying to me."
Shit.
We made them put that clip on a disc.
Yeah,
we're like, no, Tom, it's the truth. Here, look, he was mad. It was all pretty funny.
Hey, but he got the footage, so what is he crying about? You gave him a disc.
No, he didn't get the footage.
Oh, he couldn't use it?
No, that was his. They used it.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Paulie Solman just texted me. He wanted me to ask you, what was the story when you burnt down Rescue 2's kitchen?
When I burnt down Rescue 2's kitchen. Is that exactly how he said this?
Ask Bobby the story when he burned Rescue 2's kitchen down.
So we would never let Paul cook, for whatever reason. Paul very rarely cooked, but this one particular night, he insisted that he was going to cook dinner. So he was making chicken cordon bleu, and he was all very proud of himself. And he had the frying pan going, and Paul, he was doing a great job. And then we got to run. So apparently, after about the 4th or 5th run consecutively, as we're coming down the block with the Niedermeyer system, when it kicked in, the thick black smoke that came pouring out of the stack was warning number 1 that something was amiss.
Yeah.
When the apparatus door opened and the volume of smoke that came rolling out was hint number 2 that there might have been something going on. I needed my mask to make the kitchen.
Oh shit, man!
Yeah, it was rolling around up in the ceiling. We used to have a scaling ladder that we hung over the stove with our pots.
Pots on it, yeah.
So there is a picture somewhere of the one frying pan is burnt in half.
No shit.
The fire was just making the cockloft in the kitchen. How'd
you knock it down? You don't carry a hose on that rig. What'd you do?
We had a garden hose off of the top sink, and Johnny Knapp was brand new, so he got elected to go stand on top of the stove and start putting out the bays.
Obviously, you didn't give any signal.
Can you imagine what would have happened?
Oh my God!
There would have been 30 guys on the roof.
Every
They
battalion.
would have been cutting 15 holes in the roof.
Right. We had to eat.
Breaking every window.
We had to eat that.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Unfortunately, what happened that day, I had just bought 3 brand new. One of the peppers, it was pepper, came. It looked like a stick of dynamite. It was called Kaboom.
Oh my God, that's
so that was on the shelf. It was the worst pepper fire. It was bad.
Snotty all over the place.
But we got it out. I don't know how Ruvalo found out.
Maybe he to work and the kitchen was burnt down. I don't know.
He was on medical leave. He was the next morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning. The phone rings. It's Phil. Hey, Cap, how are you? What's going on? Yeah, how's the kids? What's going? How bad is it? What? What are you talking about, Cap? How bad is it?
And you had the computer back there too, right? Did the computer get fucked up?
No, thank God that was in the corner.
Yeah, because that's a then the job has to come and do all that shit.
Right, that was we fixed it all. The computer didn't get burnt. Heglin was the covering captain.
Oh my God, he's shot.
He just kept laughing. You know, you talk about fires in the firehouse. We're going to go back to the tin house. A long time ago, 271. They had been at a job. They come back from a job. They back in, and as they're backing in the corners, their kitchen is rolling. The kitchen was roaring. So I guess the chauffeur, I don't know much about pumps or whatever, but when he went to rev up the rig to give more pressure, the rig might have still been in drive.
Oh,
and it shot out of the firehouse.
I don't know if that's possible. Coop, is that possible? Like
just as the brand new Proby pulled up in front of the firehouse in his brand new van. So the rig takes out his van.
Nice.
Oh, meanwhile, the kitchen's still roaring. So this story made the rounds rather quickly. What happened up at 271? So it might have been, let's say that was the day tour. You get 48 off before your night tour. So 2 days later, the 15th Division was having a huge promotion, retirement, big party. All the firehouses are involved out on Jamaica Avenue. You know, at that the Veterans Hall out there. Mm-hmm. So we're at the party. We come back from the party. It's 1 a.m. We're going to work the next day tour. So we just, crap out at the firehouse. 232 and 176 get a run, 1075. With that, 2 seconds later, you hear Brooklyn to 271, relocate to engine 232. We start giggling. We go in the kitchen, we pull 2 couches out onto the apparatus floor, we douse them with diesel fuel, get a couple of more pillows, we light them up. So now, if you've never been in the tin house, when you came in the front door, you were in the house watch. And we had shut the door from the house watch to the apparatus floor. So the guy comes in, he opens the door, he hits the button, the apparatus door's going up, and this black smoke comes barreling out. It's the same officer.
Holy shit.
The look on his face, we're hiding in my car on the corner. It was worth everything that happened to us.
Oh my God,
that's classic.
If you would have had cell phones back then, you could have filmed his face, bro. It would have been priceless.
It would have been, but I could see him. I could see it right now. Like, I can't believe this is happening again. What? And then as the smoke cleared, you could see it was just.
Paulie just sent me that picture, Bob. Yeah, Paulie just sent that.
There you go. There's the frying pan.
Where's the frying pan? I don't see it.
Paulie's holding it.
Oh shit! Nice.
He looks young there, man. He looks young there.
You ever let him cook again?
No. Never. Not allowed.
Somebody in the chat said, needless to say, you ordered pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, pizza.
Pizza. If you go all the way, make that picture smaller again.
Okay.
Zoom out, Pete.
Zoom out.
Coming out.
Look at Knapp over in the right-hand corner.
Oh, his face is black.
Right? Yeah,
right. Yeah. We stuck him. He had to stand on the stove with a garden hose and put out the cockboard.
Holy shit.
That was a funny night.
That's it's amazing how many places burn, right? How many firehouses have fires over the years, right?
Oh, I mean, didn't 103 cut the roof off of 120 kitchen?
They did. It was and that was another one. They didn't give a job for that. And then 103 had the fire on the second floor in their house too. Years ago. I have a picture of that. You see the smoke coming out of the front window.
I mean, it's inevitable, right?
Yeah, it is, I think.
Yeah, they run out all the time. Can you imagine though, bro, if you had given that the box, what they would have done to Rescue 2's quarters, bro, they would have been laughing all the way, man. They would have been busting every window.
We never would have lived it down.
No.
We all would have to have retired. You know what I mean?
So Bob, what's the deal with the pizza? I know you're big with the pizza, right? Like,
I love pizza. It's it's a food group all its own.
So
what's your favorite spot?
He was the original.
Foreign.
That's the spot, man.
I mean, he's senile now. His kids are making the pizza. I haven't been there in over a year, so I can't tell you. But when Dominic was making a pie, it was a religious experience. I swear to God. But but years ago, everybody made good pizza. In the mid '70s, late '60s. I mean, my father was a cop in the 60th precinct, so I'm aware of Totono's from the late '50s. And that guy, again, he was right up there with DeFara. He's right up there with Louie and Ernie's, up in the Bronx. There's another place up in Mount Vernon called Johnny's.
Johnny's is great pizza, man.
Johnny's,
great pizza.
One of the write-ups, which made me, I had to go there. Don't expect good service. Not only don't they like their customers, they don't like each other. I got to go there.
I got to go there. It sounds good.
And sure enough, they're killing each other in the kitchen. You can hear them screaming, yelling, pots banging. It was pretty funny.
Well, you watched the guy from Boston, right? The one bite everybody knows the rule. You watch. You were doing that 5 years ago, right?
I actually agree with him I'd say about 75% of the time. I do agree with him. But I said this before. I've been doing this 5 years before he even.
Right, and he's from Boston.
Right. We were sitting in the kitchen one day in the newspaper. It says, pizza comes to Bushwick. This place called Roberta's. Like, all right, that's where we're going for lunch. It was literally the week they opened. And they took a auto repair shop, painted the floor, painted the roof, painted the roll-down gate.
Threw an oven.
Burned an oven. And these guys, they were classic trained chefs. But they were banging out some of the best pizza I ever ate in my life. You go there today, they do $150 test, chef's table. You got a 3-hour wait. Your bakery is probably one of the best in the borough. We were there with the rig the week they opened.
And now you can't touch it.
Can't even get in there.
Most of those places, that's the only thing. When he does those reviews, you can't even get into half of the places. I do that with my daughter. When we go to the Ranger games, there's quite a few of them. Obviously, we go to Bleecker, all that stuff there. There's one right by the garden that we go to most of the time. Square Pizza, coal fired. I forget what the name is.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Bob, we actually heard that you did a little pizza review yourself at one point or another, and I have some footage right now. If I could show this crowd. This is Bob's original pizza review. All right, stand by.
Hello. When you fix an Italian food, everything has got to be just perfect. Especially when you're making a pizza. I'm going to show you. Looks good? You betcha my life. And it's delicious. That's the pizza you get at the theater. So hurry up. Get yourself some.
That's a you betcha your life.
You betcha your life.
So, Dominic DeFara, his accent was even thicker than that.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't understand half of what the guy said. And I grew up, my mother's from Italy. I couldn't understand half of what Dominic would say. So, I'm in there one day. It's in between night tours. I'm waiting. I know a Sicilian pie is coming out. I already had a couple of regular slices. And with this, an unmarked cop car pulls up right out in front. And, it was unbelievable. The guy comes, strutting in. He goes, "Hey, Dominic, 4 corner slices." And Dominic's like, "Hey, nothing out yet." The guy, "Okay, I want the 4 corners." And he turns around, and with that, the pie comes out. And Dominic looks at me and goes, "What do you want?" I said, "I want 4 corner slices."
I always get the corner, always.
He wanted to shoot me. You know what I mean? I really didn't care.
Dude,
I did there another day. A guy, he's a off-duty cop with his family, and he's harassing Dominic. Where's my pie? Where's my pie? Because it's always an hour wait, hour and a half wait. Unless you're first, second, or third, you're waiting an hour for this pie.
Yeah, shit, man.
So Dominic just, he's just nodding off. Finally, the guy gets so pissed off. He's like, he gets up, he leaves. So as he leaves, the place is mobbed. But I kind of know Dominic. I'm like, Dominic, whatever he ordered, I'll take it. He goes, what makes you think I even made it? This guy was never going to get a slice.
No.
No.
You know, it's so funny. My wife just asked me before I came down here, because she travels a lot. She says, how do you order a pizza when you call up or when you go into a place? You order a pie.
A whole pie.
A pie. She said she went out of town and she ordered a pie, and they were like, yeah, we don't serve pie here. So New York's the only place that says pie. I'd order a pie.
What do they call it?
Pizza.
I mean,
pizza.
I've been down. I've been all over the country. I order a pie. They know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Yeah.
Where? How about in Florida? You get good pizza there?
Actually, we found a place not too far from actually where I live.
Near Boca?
No. I'm a little further up, and we're in Melbourne Beach.
I had a good slice down, an okay slice down near Boca. It was pretty decent for Florida, but
Well, we found what we thought was good pizza.
Okay.
By us, beachside, what we call when you're out on the Barrier Island. So I saw a review for some place called Slices. All right, let me go check that out. And off I go, and I order a pie, a whole pie for myself. You don't finish it, but you guarantee a fresh slice. To bring it out, and I'm looking, I'm like, that's a DeFara pie. And the girl was like, you know DeFara's? I'm like, yeah, I know DeFara's. She goes, oh, my father's going to be so happy. He's the owner. So I take a bite out of it. I'm not going to say it was a DeFara pie.
Right.
But for where we were,
yeah, right.
I was shocked. So
Is it the
water? They say
no, it's not the water. That's bullshit. It's the ingredients. There we go. Slices. So I call up Paulie Nigro, and I'm like, bro, you better get over here and check this place out. He drives out. We're like, both of us we're shocked that this pizza was so good. So we're now his best customers. He's actually coming up in August. I'm gonna bring him around. But it's all the ingredients. It's what dough. I mean, look at those colors.
Is this gentleman here? Is this the guy?
Yeah, that's him.
So why can't they recreate that in Florida if it's only the ingredients?
They can. They just don't know how.
Oh. They should call him, Bob. You go down there, you become a millionaire. You open up a New York pizzeria.
I was going to say, I've always wanted to open a pizza, and I want to move to Florida. So what's up, dude? Let's do this.
There you go.
How about how was the New Haven? I'm going to New Haven with my cousin. Probably in 2 weeks for the pizza.
Sally's is the first one. Sally's, but his bank is hours. I don't think he opens till like 5 at night. He's like Lucali over in Carroll Gardens, and then you go down the block. You got Frank Pepe, and then down the block from there is Modern Pizza. Any one of them is a great pie. Yeah,
that's what my cousin was telling me. That's like the hot spot now over there, huh?
Well, it's always been there, but now that the internet, people are starting to find out. Now there's a line. Now you got to wait. I'd be heading up to one of the casinos up in Connecticut, and you jump off, get a pie, and go. Can't do that anymore. Now there's a line out the door. The bar stool guy. There's a place actually in Elizabeth. I got my whole list here.
I love a good pizza too.
There's this place in Elizabeth. My wife and myself, we were going down to Atlantic City. So I'm like, listen, we're going to stop for pizza for lunch, and then we're going to go. Pull up. It's right off the Goethals Bridge. And I'm like, why did I just get a parking spot? That's always a warning.
You get a parking spot.
That's a bad omen right there, bro.
Yeah. Guys only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. It was Wednesday. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Right. It's so funny because you want to be able to go right in and order a slice on any place, but a lot of times, right, if there's nobody in there, most of the time it's probably because there's nobody in there. Nobody wants that pizza, whatever.
I'd still order a fresh pie.
A fresh pie. So, bro, you had 10-8 in the whole borough, well, almost the whole borough of Brooklyn, right? What was your favorite spot?
Nothing was better than when we did the Hammer team.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
So usually I would do it with Ruvalo,
Right.
but every now and then I would go out to the general population,
G-Pop?
with an officer from a support truck, and like, listen, this is where we're going. This is where we're going for lunch, and like especially the forest. You pull up, the place is disgusting. It's dirty. It's filthy. The Board of Health closes them 4 times a year, and the guy's like looking at you like, "We're going in here." Like, yeah, that's where we're gonna go.
The Hammer teams. Wow.
3 days later, he's calling up. Where was that place?
Yeah, where was that place? Man, I got to go there. Right?
Yeah, man. So, Bobby, you got any more good fire stories before we go to the old school tip of the day? What do you got there?
What do we got? I'll tell you what. I worked in 288 one night. This is a Billy Quick story.
Quick here.
Quick here.
So, I know Billy. I know Billy quite a while. So we actually had a couple of runs, a couple of EMS runs. So it's now like 5:30 in the morning. We get a run and jump on the rig, and Billy's like, "No, don't worry. You don't have to get dressed. This is one of our regular boxes." And I should have known better. Because I know Billy, and I know the way we are. I should have been dressed. So it's like this warehouse factory place. Smoke is pumping out of every freaking brick, and we're first due. 288's first due. So we're now at the back of the rig, but we have to wait for the truck to get in to open the gate.
Yeah.
So we can get in. And I don't remember who the officer was. I think it might have been Kelly. But he gets on the handy-talkie, and he says, 136, you're going to need your forcible entry saw to get the gate. And all you heard was, "Get out of the way."
That's when the guy pulled through the gate, right?
He drove right through the gate.
I never heard that story.
That was the Restaurant Depot. It was fire at the Restaurant Depot.
The one right over there. Right.
I'm like, holy shit, that worked. So now as we're starting to stretch the line, my head, was spinning, and I'm like, maybe we should grab the thermal imaging camera. And Quick's like, "That's a great idea," and he jumps up, and we never saw him again.
He's the first due chauffeur.
No, he was on the back step.
Oh, he's on the back.
Oh, he's on the back step. I thought he was driving.
No, he grabbed the camera, and just when we needed a buffalo like Billy to help us stretch the whole bed.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, my takeaway on that was, like I said, the chauffeur from 136. Remember when you were a kid, you used to play sandlot baseball?
Yeah.
And the backstop?
Yep.
That's what this fence looked like.
Oh, pushed it. Oh, yeah. I got you.
It was like up
Wrapped
over
around
the
the
sides.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty cool. The windshield was destroyed, but it worked.
Belisari said he was the officer.
I don't remember, I don't pay that much attention.
Hey, Bobby, I got another little bird chirping at me.
I'm sure you do.
So, ask Bob about the fist fight with the ESU at the pin job.
Nice.
So,
It's always a good sign when he giggles, bro.
So we're in the kitchen, because we all slept in the kitchen. We had the radio on, and you hear, a truck company to Brooklyn, we need an ambulance for a car accident. And as they're transmitting, you can hear the hearse tool running in the background. So like, that doesn't sound good. So, I hit the bells. We all get up, we jump on the rig, and we take off without being assigned on the box. And we pull up, and it's a pin job. This truck torpedoed this car. Allegedly, thank God nobody took a breathalyzer. So the female driver of the car was an off-duty cop. Now, ESU shows up knowing she's a cop. I knew she was a cop. For some reason, we're going to use the name Wally. not his real name to protect the innocent here, has the backboard. They're trying to get the woman onto the backboard, and so the cop is leaning on him and leaning on him and leaning on him and pushing. And I was actually surprised that he was keeping his cool, because this particular fellow was never known for keeping his cool. So all in one motion, as he slid the backboard onto the stretcher and EMS leaves with the woman, his arm comes up and he's got the ESU cop by the throat.
No shit.
And when I tell you the guy's toes were the only thing touching the floor. And now this is becoming a little bit of a scrum. At the same time, over by the car, Paulie Soman's having words with the sergeant from ESU, telling him he's an asshole, you're acting like a bunch of assholes. And the sergeant's telling him, you can't talk to me like that. I'm a sergeant, you can't talk to me. So Ruvalo tells him, well, I'm a captain on the New York City Fire Department, and you're an asshole. So
Hey, Wally wouldn't be Woody, would he?
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, shit.
Did you ever hear the white rhinoceros? Like, if you're within the 30-foot circle of danger, the white rhinoceros can get you. If you're 31 feet out, he wasn't able to catch you. But he had the cop. Now, I'm trying to break the hold. I can't break the hold. Their other officer now is twisted, and this has become a scrum. We're able to break loose. We jumped on the rig, and we took off.
So nobody got arrested. Good.
Nobody got arrested. 1 week later, Rescue 4 is at a confined space job with the same ESU guys. And John Gaines left in handcuffs because they were so pissed off from the week before.
That was when he got into a scrum with a broad, right? It was a chick, wasn't it?
No.
No?
It was the guy we used to call Cocknose.
No other explanation necessary, Bob. I got it pictured perfect.
Right, you know who I'm talking about. If you were around then, you know exactly who we're talking about.
I thought it was a broad he got into a little scrum with. Didn't he say he hurt his knee at that one when he went away when he got arrested in handcuffs?
Yeah, but he's still left in handcuffs instead of on a stretcher.
Right. Yeah.
I think I actually have a picture of him. Is this the gentleman right here?
There you go. Way back when the Battle of the Badges first started, we were at a pit job, and Mike Esposito, God rest his soul, he's working on the door. The ESU cop's leaning on him. He's leaning on him, and Mike was always pretty quick. So the job's over, and Mike turns around and asks the guy, "So was it 2 points or 3?" And the guy said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, you're too stupid to have failed the fire department test. I won. So was it 2 points or 3?"
I could have used that.
The guy was stuttering. He was pissed. He was embarrassed. We get on the rig. We leave. 5 minutes later, they're arresting the chauffeur or one of the senior guys for 105. But again, we got on the rig. We were gone. They were so twisted, they locked up somebody else.
They had to arrest somebody.
They had to arrest somebody. But I remember, was it 2 points or 3? Because they failed by 1.
What year did they start? Because nowhere else in the country do they do that, where the cops, do the same stuff as us. What year did they start carrying the tools?
Sometime, if you remember, I mean, right now they're going through a lot of shit. But there was a bad incident. There was a shooting. They wound up killing somebody. The bad press. So I guess the only good press they ever got was when they did that stuff. Right. So they just started pushing. Then they put Hearst tools in the highway cars. Uh-huh. It was completely out of control.
Yeah, I agree.
And once the top's off, it doesn't go back in.
Yeah, because they don't do that anywhere else in the country with the cops.
I think it was there was a time there when it was bad. If I, even early on for me, where their guys were constantly arguing all the time, and then it kind of got a little bit better depending on where you worked. I'm sure Manhattan was really bad because Rescue One was always running in with those guys.
Right. They predominantly did emergency work.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So that's we did predominantly fire duty.
Right. So you're not really running into them that much that affecting what you're doing. Whereas, one that's, and it's in the spotlight, no matter what's going on there, scaffold or, whatever the hell's happening, they're always in the spotlight. They got to deal with that shit all the time. But I think it's been better, but I could, I don't know.
It's been my last couple of years on, actually had a working relationship with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was able, I was always kind of good at, as big as I was, to be able to sneak into a car or whatever. You just, tell them, just put it here, put it there, open it up. The same way you did it with the trucks or with anybody else.
Right.
They kind of knew you knew what you were talking about, and they might have been stuck. They're looking for a little help too.
Right.
Not everybody went to the junkyard like we did. We went every Tuesday, went to the junkyard, had a great relationship with them. We'd spend 5-6 hours.
Just keep calls out at you for you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot now, Bob. If it, not for Rescue 2, what other rescue would you have gone to? What would be closer to what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
You have to pick one. I'm not saying it's as good as Rescue 2, but
all good guys.
Yeah.
They're all, I would have stayed at 176.
All right.
It was everything was always about the fire duty.
Right.
It was always about fire duty.
Yeah.
And nobody else came close.
Well, that's what we said. Did you see our spotlight on 2? We said busiest fire company in the world.
I did see that, yes.
I
I had a good time everywhere I worked. And I always took my details, even as the chauffeur, I went. Because I wanted to see everybody else. I mean, I remember walking into one and somebody, you got the roof. I'm like, all right, but if we go to a subway job, you got to bring this. Like, yeah, you better find somebody else. They sent me to Squad 18 one night. I don't remember his name, but the young fellow kind of like insinuated that I was old and maybe I should retire to make room for other young guys to get into those spots. I'm like, what did you just say? We were just sitting there eating dinner, and I'm like, you know what? If we get a job tonight, and I hope it's a seller job, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to the roof because I'm going with you, and we're going in the cellar, and somebody's we're going to the burn center tonight. We're going. And the guy, the officer's like, you probably shouldn't have said that to me. Always a good time, always laughed. I enjoyed every place I ever worked. But 2 was a unique place, bro. There was no denying it. The fire duty was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So is it about that time, Kev?
What? I don't know if he's ready. Are you ready, Bob?
4?
Oh.
Hit it, Pete.
Are you ready, Bob?
Bob.
For the old school tip of the day.
So when I first went to 176, I knew nothing about truck work, knew nothing about going to the roof. Fortunately, we had a lot of vacants, and we were able to drill. And the senior guys, even though they were the warrior guys, they did not mind going out with us. And because at that time, all of the trucks in that area were lucky if they had 12, 13, 14 guys. So now you had this influx of all these new young guys. We didn't know shit. So I remember Tony Asaro and Al Bailey. If you put both of them together, they were 6 foot tall. 176 used to be engine 233, section 2. On Friday, they were an engine. On Monday, they were a truck.
Holy shit.
So, and they, this is 1971, 1972, and now they're doing, thousands of fires a year. So we went out and they put the aerial up. And when we got to the top of the aerial, right at the, by the cornice, the one thing he said was, the time to look for your way off the roof is not when the shit's hitting the fan. Plan your exit when you get there. Never separate yourself. Never let the fire be between you and your exit. Like you saw the video of these guys out in California. God forbid that they had to start looking for their way off when that happened, because there would have been 10 dead guys instead of nobody dying.
Right.
So always plan your exit before you make your entrance, and never block your exit. Never let the fire get between you and whether it's the aerial or the exposure or the setback or whatever. Know where you're going before you take another 2 steps.
There's no doubt.
The roof 99 times out of 100 is a bunt. Oh man, I got the fucking roof tonight. But that one time,
you earn your money for the whole year.
Your sphincter. We used to. How was that job? How was that job last night?
When you have a real roof job,
right?
You earn your money for the guys. Tell me that you earn your money for the whole year when you're walking around with just a hook. Trying to see where you're at, and you can't see shit, and people depending on you to make, to vent.
See, way back when, there was only 2 of you on the roof.
Right, exactly.
And the other truckie who had the roof. There wasn't 10 guys up there like they said today. If it was a top floor job, it was 4 of you, 2 OVs and 2 roof guys. That was it. So you better have your exit planned. You better know where you're going, and be careful.
Yeah.
That's a good. That goes with anything. That goes with everything, because even searching, right? If you're searching in a room and you pass a window, you got a window, and then you pass, and if shit goes bad, you got to make sure you're going back all the time, because where the window is. You don't know what's ahead. If you're thinking that there's another window ahead of you, or if somebody's calling you to go that way. I used to talk about that all the time.
So 100 years ago, I worked a lot with this guy Mike Pagano, myself and Mike. And Lieutenant Graff was our boss, and he used to call us Crash and Boom. So because we'd go into an apartment, that's all you would hear. Whatever. So this particular day, I had the irons, Mike had the can. So I was able to, pop the door with the Halligan. And since I popped the door, I went in. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to step back. So what I didn't realize was that the door slammed open, banged against the wall, and slammed shut.
Right.
And locked.
Oh boy.
So now they're outside in the hallway. I'm in the burning apartment. There's bars on the window. It's a railroad flat, and I have no clue that I'm in there all by myself. They're freaking out, running back and forth. They were able to kick in the kitchen door further in the back, and I'm like, "Where'd you guys go?" And they're like,
"Dude,
no nuts. Maybe you should shock the door the next time." Oh, all right. But they knew where I was. They said they could hear stuff breaking.
Oh shit, that's good stuff.
Ruffy, you got any plugs, kid?
I don't tonight, actually.
What?
I do not. I had I think maybe because I yelled at everybody to stop sending me shit the last time, so maybe they backed off a little bit. But still working on what we're going to do for Monday, whether we're going to do back in the day or Q&A. I have a few things in the works, but I'll talk to you over the weekend and we'll figure it out. And then I think I got about 10 guys lined up, but I think we're going to go with Scotty Maxwell on next Thursday, Rescue 3.
Scotty who?
Maxwell.
I knew I get Bobby. Listen, Bobby, we appreciate you coming on, bro. Great show. I don't know if you could see the comments, bro. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. We appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
Anytime.
Listen, good luck with. I know you have an operation coming up, and we squeezed you in beforehand. You got an operation next week again for your neck and your back. So good luck with everything.
You know it's paid to be 6 foot tall. I can tell you that.
In your head for years. Basement.
Last story, we're in a job. You know, sometimes you go to a job, you put the hook up in the ceiling, you pull it one time, and the whole thing comes down. Fischler didn't even know the ceiling came down.
He was staying. He knocked. Everything went around
Everything, he was 6 inches short of where it all wound up.
That happened to my cousin. He was covering for me in 103, and they pulled the ceiling, and Schweiger was there, and Jimmy took that whole thing on his neck, and he actually had he got operated and his neck fused, and he was off the job in a very short. You know, he didn't do that much time. So yeah, it's kind of a similar situation. He was just a taller guy in the room.
Yeah, it didn't always work out.
Yeah, but good luck with that, man. I know.
Yeah, no problem. It's a bunt. I did it once already. This is the second time.
So hopefully we'll get Solomon on now because he was feeding me a lot of shit on you. So
well, I'm sure he was, and I told Paulie I would do it with him, and he said no. So now when he does it, I'll be sitting in
now you can give us little birdie things on Solomon.
I got a lot more stories on Paulie.
Awesome.
Nice.
I know where all the bones. Paulie was my enforcer.
Yeah, he was tough.
Yeah, man.
Paulie was my bodyguard.
He always makes fun of my cousin all the time. You know, Mr. Happy, I like to call him over at 132. You know, so
the best with 132. You know, we might have had a little thing going, but Jimmy Kiesling was in Rescue 2. He's an officer in Squad 1. He was a fireman in Squad 1. So anyway, we get there first. Ray Smith and myself, we go up. There's the guy blocking the door. You know, so but I could see right into the apartment. It's not worth making the effort.
Right, to get past him. Right.
It's just not worth it, you know. So up comes Jimmy. He's the officer, and the guy, you know, he grabs under the door. Jimmy didn't even blink. He took that small officer's tool. He must have hit the guy on the arm 10 times in about 3 seconds. Just whack, 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 whack. Oh, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Okay.
That's crazy.
Grabs his arm. Jimmy runs right in the apartment. So now I'm like, hey.
He's a little crazy. He's a little crazy.
Oh, he's a little bit.
That's pretty good. I'll have to put that one in the bank.
Good move, bro.
Now we have to stay here.
Yeah, right.
Comes out.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, gentlemen, it was a pleasure.
All right, Petey, take us out, kid.
Bobby, thanks so much. Appreciate it, brother.
So, I just want to say one quick thing for everybody here. Chief Steve lyrics and video is done. But Chief Steve didn't make an appearance tonight, so we'll just have to wait till the next show.
Monday he'll be out.
Maybe he'll come out. All right. So for anyone listening on audio, of course, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere where podcasts are found. But of course, you can get us at youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. Please do us a favor. Bob checked out. Give us the finger right here. You know, come on. Tap, like, subscribe, share. Guys, we're taking this on the road. We'll see you guys out there in October for sure, maybe even sooner. Hit us up. Instagram @SaltyDogInc. Lou's always posting the shit hot fire pictures, man. They are awesome. I'm a buff now, and I'm enjoying them all day long. Plus, you get your last minute info, contest details, so on and so forth. And if you want cool guy apparel, to be a cool guy like these dudes, go to gettinsaltyapparel.com. Get your hats, get your t-shirts, get your ladies box, everything.
First doing your old ladies box. Blankets coming in. The blankets are coming in, bro.
We're working on the thongs. We're working on it. And
let us know. Let us know what you guys think. If you want to get your old ladies, if we ordered thongs, where it said first do it your old ladies box. Right on. Lou's saying no, not happening.
Boom. And last but not least, guys, if you need to email the show, email us at gettinsaltyexperience@gmail.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me.
All right, fellas and ladies. Until the next time, stay low and go.
All right, brothers. Good job tonight. We'll see you at the big one.
Later.